Today we're starting Chapter 8 and we are going to talk about relating decimals, fractions, and percents. So we need to get the definition for percent down. And a percent is going to be a ratio, so it's going to look like a fraction, but it compares a number to 100. So let's do a little practice. If I give the ratio 3/10, we're going to find an equivalent ratio with denominator of 100. So I want to make my equivalent ratio have a denominator of 100. So to go from 10 to 100, I have to multiply by 10. And whatever I do to the bottom, I also have to do to the top. So this is 30/100, which then as a percent is just 30%. So I can just take that numerator. So let's try another one. What if I give you 1/2? Again, we can make that have a denominator of 100. So to go from 2 to 100, we have to multiply by 50. And I need to do that on top. So therefore, my percent is 50%. So try this last one on your own. What if I give you 3/4? What would your equivalent ratio be? You should have had 75 over 100, which is then 75%. What if you have a denominator that doesn't go into 100? So for example, 1/8. You can't go from 8 to 100. So what you can do is you can think of this as 1 divided by 8. So we've done this before, so you can do it longhand division, or you can use your calculator and you get 0.125. Then what you have to do is multiply that by 100, which ends up moving your decimal 2 spots. So your percent would be 12.5%. So let's try a few of these. We need to find either the missing ratio or the percent. So either the fraction or the percent. So let's start with A. A, they give you 0%. So what you can always do is take that number and just put it over 100. And 0 divided by 100 ends up just being 0. Let's try another one. Let's try C. So C, again, they're giving you a percent. So you have 20%. So what would that ratio be? Well, that would be 20 over 100, which we can then reduce. You can take off these back zeros and think of this as 2/10. And then what would 2/10 reduce to? 1/5. Let's try another one. Let's try D. D is 33 1/3%, which just means 33 repetent. So what we can think of this as is 0.333 and so on. And you should know that fraction off the top of your head as just 1/3. I want to see if you can do F on your own. So what I would think of this as is 62.5%. And since here you're at 3 spots, you have to think of this as 625 over 1,000. Because if we were just at the 2, that would be at the 100 spot. But because we go to that 3rd spot here, we have to have 3 zeros here. So all you need to do is reduce that. And you can reduce this to 5/8. Let's see if we can figure out this table. So I have the decimal here of 25%. So what would that be as a fraction? So always start by doing 25, whatever that is, over 100 and reducing it. So 1/4. So what would that be as a percent? 25%. Let's try 40%. What would that be as a decimal? Well, this could just be 40, or you could say it's just 0.4, either way. All right, try your fraction. Where should you start for your fraction? You should do 40 over 100, and then what can you reduce that to? 2/5. All right, let's try 1 over 20. You can rewrite this with your denominator of 100, and you would multiply by 5, so you get 5 over 100. So your decimal would be 0.05. That is not the same as 0.5, okay? So your percent would just be 5%, because think of this times 100, that decimal would have to move 2 spots. See if you can do the last box on your own. So since this is 30%, this would be the same thing as 0.3 or 0.30. And then your fraction would be 30 over 100, which you could reduce to 3 over 10. I just want to show you this diagram or this pie chart of fraction, decimal, and percents, and these are the ones that we just did on the previous slide. And I just want you to see how no matter how you do your pie chart, all of them are going to be exactly the same. So no matter if you do it as a percent, a decimal, or a fraction, your chart will always look the same. Let's try this final problem. It says gold that is 24 karat is 100% pure gold. Gold that is 18 karat is 18 parts pure gold and 6 parts another metal, such as copper, zinc, silver, or nickel. So we want to find what percent of 18 karat gold is pure gold. So when you're doing this, always think of your ratio as your part over your whole. So we know that we have 18 karat. That's our part. And our whole, if we had a whole pure gold, that would be 24. So we can look at the ratio 18 over 24. Now we want to reduce that. So what goes into 18 and into 24? You should have said 6. So if we divide the top and bottom by 6, you get 3/4. Now if you can make this denominator be 100, do that. Way easier. But 24 you cannot change to 100. So if we look to reduce this, this is an easier fraction to look at. You should know 3/4, think of quarters, is actually 0.75. Then all we have to do is multiply that by 100, which again makes your decimal move 2 spots, so it's 75%. So 18 karat gold is 75% pure gold. You can now do your exit slip.